Fingerstyle Fursday. Hello. Welcome to Fingerstyle Fursday number 60, which brings volume 3 to a close. That is it. We are done for volume 3. Now, this means that basically from here, I'm actually going to change up Fingerstyle Fursday a little bit, okay? This chapter has definitely come to a close. So next week, I'll be talking to you more about what I'm talking about, the future of Fingerstyle Fursday, and how things are going to work going forward. So next week I'll talk to you about that. But today is all talking about resolving, which, I thought was apt considering where we are in the Fingerstyle Thursdays. Now, when it comes to musical resolution, it basically means taking something that clashes and then moving it to a more comfortable place. Let's explore this. So, with this being number 60, that means volume 3 is complete, which means you fucking bet it, it's Fingerstyle Fursday freebie starting right now. What does that mean? It means you have 24 hours to record yourself playing this piece. Upload it to your stories, upload it as a reel, do whatever the fuck you want. Just make sure you tag me, 4string boy, and use the hashtag Fingerstyle Fursday freebie. We'll be doing this for an entire week. So each day I will announce on my stories a brand new Fingerstyle Fursday from volume 3. You need to upload yourself playing it. If you've already played it before, then just basically re-share it to your stories and re-tag me. That's totally fine. But basically each day I'll be giving away a free copy of my volume 3 book. All the winners will be announced next Thursday. Hooray! It's going to be fucking madness. Prepare yourself. Let's do it. Now, chords. Now, chords that cause tension can come in all sorts of shapes and forms, but a really common one is something called a diminished chord, which is basically, it's a minor chord, but it has something called a flat 5. It means that the highest note in it, which is the 5th note of the scale, gets flattened. So we end up with this sound, okay? Now, this sound isn't, if you imagine sitting there and strumming on that, it doesn't look pretty. This, by the way, is a G7, but if we take the G out of it and just play the 3, 2, and 1, that's a B diminished chord. Now, it sounds all full and pent up, and that's because the place where it wants to go is to a C chord. Now, the reason it sounds so pent up is because basically it's a B chord basically is made of a B diminished chord is a B, D, and an F. Now, in this chord here, we have the D, F, and B, but the F and the B really clash. And basically those two notes put together is something called a tritone, and that is the first note of the chord and the flat 5 of the chord. Tritones are quite scary sounding things, but they're used to cause tension. And the way that we relieve that tension is basically by moving either one or both of the notes out of that tritone. So for example, if I played that, I've got that F and that B screaming at me. When I move to the C, the B moves up to a C and the F moves down to an E, and that causes all that tension to go away. So there are many ways with chords, with pitch, that you can create lots of tension and then they resolve to other chords. It's lovely. It's a nice way of basically creating not a horrible sound, but sort of an uncomfortable sound, and then instantly like resolving it and giving it a resolution, which makes it sound better, which is weird because it's sort of like a bit like life. You don't appreciate the truly nice chords until you have a truly weird, uncomfortable chord before it. Then after that weird, uncomfortable chord, then you truly appreciate the resolution to the nicer chord even more. So yeah, maybe, don't know, not sure. Okay, the other way that we can cause tension is with rhythm as well. So a lot of my chord changes here do not come on the 1, I've moved them to the and of the 4. So they feel a little pushed, and that makes us feel a little anxious. Okay, so onto the piece. We're gonna play this F add 9, which is my favorite movable E shape to use. So that's 3, 5, and 5, and then with an open G. Now, rhythmically, we're going to strum that. We're going to go 1, and then we're going to pick all the strings in order. 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're going to go 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. We're going to make sure we pick the 4th string again. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Strum 4, 3, 2, 1, 4. Now that leads us to 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And then we're going to change to this F minor 6 very quickly. And we're going to change that on the and, which would be another down strum. This looks like a G7 chord, but basically you play it on the 4th and 5th frets. And it sounds spicy. So we're going to do pretty much exactly the same thing, but that chord came before the 1. So we sort of have to, we're still going to wait the same amount of time. It just feels longer because we go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So just by moving that chord a beat earlier, so not on the 1, on the and of 4, rhythmically that creates tension too. So not only am I using pitch on my side, I'm also using rhythm. Haha! So let's try that again. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Cool. Practice that a couple of times. That is a big, big rhythmic part. Now, that F minor 6 really wants to resolve to a C. So I'm going to resolve actually up to this C rather than down to this C. That C would be equally as lovely, see? But we're going up to the 7th fret. So, same pattern, strum 4, 3, 2, 1, 4. And then we're going to move your ring finger up 2 frets, and then we put together that G7 shape again. And that'll be on the and. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. So exactly the same rhythmical setup, just up to there, which I'm calling a C diminished 7 here. So C, and then C diminished 7. Now, what I recommend when you're strumming, I always use my thumb to down strum, but I recommend for this piece, even if you don't do that, I would try it. And that's because we really sort of want to savor these chords as we're strumming them. It's not just a, we're really feeling each string with a strum. So just your thumb has sort of a softer texture for that. So just try that for me. Down strum with the thumb, down strum with the thumb, down strum with the thumb, down strum. Just gives it goes really well with a fingerstyle, basically, that nice melodic sort of strum there, that goes much better, okay? So, right. Next, we're heading off to an F chord, an F major, and that is because that C minor really wants to go to that F. So we're going to a normal F chord here, but the reason why this C diminished wants to go so badly to an F chord is because basically here we have this tritone again, and this is a C and an F sharp. So I'm basically moving that F sharp down to an F, so it's C and F, and that's an F chord, and that's that nice peaceful resolve that we need. So on the F chord, we're going to strum that same pattern, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. We're then going to basically what feels like your F minor 6, but just don't use your middle finger. So you got 0, 0, 4, 5, which is a C sus2 out of flat 13. Normal name, cool. But we strum him, and that's in the and. So we go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And with the transition from that chord, the C sus2 to the F, basically your index finger can stay on the second string, and then I'd add your ring finger to play that C sus2 F 13, flat 13. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And we're going just resolving to a C there. 2 and 3 and 4. And then we strum that for a 1. And we sit there for a bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, we're pretty much going to do almost exactly the same again. So we start off with our F add 9. To our F minor 6, up to our C on the 7th fret, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Then we're still going to our C diminished, but there's a cool little trick that we can do with diminished chords. Now, the trick with diminished chords is that it's a very unique one to diminished chords as well. Basically, whenever we use movable chord shapes, right? So if I played a C here, that is 3 notes, C, E, and G in a certain order. That's C, E, and G in a different order. That's C, E, and G in a different order. And that's C, E, and G in a different order. They're all C chords, but they're just known as inversions. And basically they're just, it's C, E, and G just all mixed around and in different ways. It doesn't always have to be C, then E, then G. It could be E, G, C. It can be G, C, E. It doesn't matter, but basically it will always be a C chord in that context. Now, diminished chords have a really cool trick, whereas this shape, each inversion, if you move that shape 3 frets up or down, it's the same chord, which is incredible. And so basically that's the other inversion, but the other inversion ends up being the same shape that you used the whole time. So whenever you played like this little diminished shape here, you can either just keep on moving it up 3 frets and you're continually playing the same chord. So it's a really nice little trick that you can use with them. And that's what I'm doing here. So we played our C on the 7th fret, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then I'm jumping to this kid here on the 9th and 8th frets. So I'm going to strum that on the and. So I go and 1. Then I move it down 3 frets, so 6, 6 and 5, and 2. And then I move it down 3 frets, 3, 3, 2, and 3 and 4 and. So those are all on the ands there. So you have to practice your timing. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, for the last little part after those diminished hits, we're returning to our F chord. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Now on the 4, I'm using actually the open G string just to basically give you some breathing room to jump to the next chord, because it's always in the and. There's not a lot of time because we've moved that chord forward. So I'm helping you out here. So yeah, open, open G, which means you can move your chord on that last note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. See, you can move because we're going to move to an F minor chord, which is basically an E minor chord, upper fret. So that's an F minor. Now that basically, F minor always wants to resolve nicely to a C major chord from an F major, because basically we've played an A note, then the A flat in the F minor, and it wants to go to G, which is basically in the C chord, C, E, and G. So that's it. It's always basically either this, you're trying to uncomplicate notes, or you're basically just leading a single note in each chord and tying them all together so they have like a little chromatic rundown. That's all that's happening. F major, F minor, C, and that was that G there. It's really cool. I love it so much. But anyway, I digress. We're on the F chord. So that's 1, 2, 2 and 3 and 4. And then we're actually going to strum the F minor on the 1. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can either add your pinky to the 5th fret of the A string or just use the F minor 6 shape from earlier. Strum that on the 1.